What's up, guys? In this video, I'm going to show you how to fatten up and add more knock to your drums using New York style compression. If your drums are sounding a little weak, this parallel compression technique is going to give you more aggression and add more weight. We can go from this to this. Much thicker and heavier. That kick got more punchy and fat, the snare crispier, and we lifted the overall fullness using just a couple plugins. I'm going to leave a link for you to get this chain free for Studio Rack so you can just throw it in your sessions and hear it for yourself. So let's dig right in and I'll show you how to set this up. Now, what exactly is New York compression? New York compression is a style of parallel compression, which means you're duplicating an unprocessed or dry signal and mixing it with a heavily compressed version of it. New York compression takes parallel compression a step up with the use of an EQ after the compression. If you look right here, I have my drums mixed down into a loop on this track. All you need to do is create a new track. Let's call it New York drums, and then just copy and paste the same loop onto the new track. And on this new track, insert the New York comp plugin chain. Now take a listen to the difference. Here's the original drum track by itself. And now just the process track. It's heavily compressed and completely crushed, but that's what we want. So let's take the volume all the way down on the New York drums track. Now take a listen as I bring it up in the mix. All right, so that's one way to do it. Now, an even faster way is within Studio Rack itself. Instead of creating a new track, all you need to do is create a parallel split. And now we have two racks. Rack 1 is the original drum track. And Rack 2 is where you insert the plugin chain. Now you just turn on Rack 2. Let's bring the volume down. And then you can balance the original with the processed drums from the same track. Just until the weight feels right. The balance between the dry signal is all up to your preference. Just keep in mind the levels on your master, the more you increase the parallel or New York signal. So that's another way to pull this off. Now let's say you want to enhance individual elements within a group or bus or even in the mix. You don't have to put this chain on every track. So the way to do this is to create a new send or aux return. Let's call it NY. Then in the return, you insert the plugin chain. This time without the parallel split. And now all you need to do is dial up the send on the individual channel. You can add more punch to the kick. You can bring out that snare without affecting everything else in the group. Now, I typically have this set up in my template. It just gives you a lot of control over the punch of the mix. And sometimes I even send bass to it to give it a little extra weight. The New York compression technique involves the use of a compressor and an EQ. So for the first plugin, I have the API 2500 compressor. This one is famous for its signature warmth and the tone section's ability to shape your sound, especially the low end. Let's start off by taking the ratio to infinity. And let's give it the fastest attack possible at 0.03 milliseconds. And then I'm going to bring the release over to variable. I'm just going to keep it right here on 50 milliseconds. Now let's bring the threshold down. Now I'm literally slamming it, and that's what we want. We want to be super aggressive with it and remove all the dynamics and transients. I'm at about -12, so let's use the API's famous tone section to shape it out. Let's go with a medium knee, and now let's check out the thrust. The thrust inserts a high-pass filter on detection. Here it is in normal. The medium gives a slight reduction in the lows and a slight boost in the highs. Brings out that snap. And now the loud setting is famous for that punch it adds to the low end. All right, I'm going to keep it on medium. Now next you have the tone type. Now on new you have feed forward and old is feed back. Now take a listen to the difference in character between them. The new mode is a lot more aggressive With the old, the compression is a little smoother. Now, I like the way it sounds on old, but feel free to adjust what works best for you. So that's the first step with the compression. So after the API 2500, I have the Puig EQP1A. Now, this one is a studio staple. It's famous for its warmth and ability to boost and attenuate the same frequencies. So while I adjust the EQP1A, I'm going to bring up the Q clone so you can also see what it's doing. So for this step in the Neo compression trick, what we want to do is create a low shelf at 100 Hertz, a high shelf at 10K, and a slight dip in the mids. So with the Puig EQ, we'll bring the low frequency to 60 and boost it up to about 5 or 6. And then you want to take the high frequency, set it to 10, and boost it up between 7 or 8. So as you can hear and see on the curve, we're not quite there yet, so check it out as I adjust the attenuation on the low frequency. See that dip we created? And now when we adjust the bandwidth, we can flatten out that high-end shelf. So you can see that by changing the low frequency, you're actually shifting the dip in the mids. And that's what makes this EQ so special. Its magical warmth and the curves it can create with just a few turns. Now overall, what we're doing with this technique is creating the perception of the sound being louder and clearer and getting more weight and punch without muddying up the mix or affecting the original. Let's A/B the whole chain one last time so you can hear the difference. Here's the before and after. So that's Neo compression. Great way to add extra weight, beef up your mix. Now don't forget to check the link in the description below to download this plugin chain free, and there's plenty more presets available over at waves.com. Before you head over there, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring that bell to keep up with the latest tips, tricks, and more from Waves Audio. Until next time, thank you for watching.